I'm real tired of hypocrisy in Republican circles. And it permeates every element of the right wing. It permeates their callousness or their inability to show empathy for other human beings. It permeates their policy and how they abandon desperate and oppressed and marginalized communities, whether that be the poor or transgender people in America. I mean, so many groups. It also permeates their religion, Like Mike Lee. We're talking about Mike Lee here, obviously. Mike Lee, who presents himself to be a mighty Mormon man, setting a good example. Because after all, proselytizing is a chief function of the Mormon church, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Right? You see them with their little white shirts and their little short sleeve shirts and their little name tags on bikes, right? Trying to convert you to their religion, trying to send you a message that this is the way. This is the faith to bring you into the celestial kingdom, one of the 3 levels of heaven. And eventually you get your own planet, just like God, who lives on a planet at the center of our galaxy called Kolob. All very real things Mormons believe, by the way. But Mike Lee purports to be a Christian, a decent man, a loving, an example, a shining example of Jesus's love. He was at the parade, broadcasting, I'm here, great times with family at the parade. Other tweets that he tweeted, I think I've showed you. One is, this is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. Communicating that Vance Luther Belter, the only suspect in the assassination of Melissa Hortman and her husband, is a Marxist or a leftist or a Democrat or a liberal, when he is not. He's a Trump voter, a Trump supporter, a Christian preacher. He also tweeted this. Apparently that one wasn't good enough. 25 minutes later, he tweeted this: "Nightmare on Wall Street," with a picture of the assassin next to a picture of the suspect, Vance Luther Belter. This mighty righteous man of God, this example of Christ's love. Agape love, unconditional love, right? And now, when he's asked questions about this, he's literally running away from the press. Watch Mike Lee run away like a fucking coward from questions about his choice to tweet these 2 tweets. One of which, maybe both of which at some time, were pinned to the top of his profile. He was so proud of them. And now he's running away with staffers trying to block the camera with their iPad cover so his face isn't seen, because he's just that much of a hypocrite and a liar and a coward that he's running away from the actions he chose as a grown man to make. Watch this.
Could you tell us about your conversation with Senator Smith? Do you regret your tweet? Do you stand by the post that you made on X?
Have you had a productive conversation about that post? Was that what the senator wanted to speak to you about?
What did you think of the meeting you just came from?
Well, Tina Smith, one of his colleagues, Senator Tina Smith, tracked him down. There are a couple photos of him, of Tina Smith in a hallway with Mike Lee, talking to him, chastising him ostensibly, maybe asking him questions about, hey, I mean, it wouldn't be this, but I would hope it would be something along the lines of, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? These people have families. You yourself have a family. You just tweeted about your family. Would it be okay if they were gunned down in an assassination attempt of you for someone to be cracking wise about it? Would your God do that? Here's Tina Smith talking to Caitlin Collins on CNN about the interaction, about the motivations, about the callousness of it all. Watch this.
Two things. One, he said, quote, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way." And then in an apparent reference to the governor, Tim Walz, he wrote, "Nightmare on Walt Street." You were seen talking to Senator Lee on Capitol Hill earlier. What did you say to him?
Well, I wanted Senator Lee, who, I mean, honestly, I don't have much, I don't know him well. We have not dealt with each other that much. I wanted him to know about the consequence of his words. And I went to him and I said, you know, your message on social media showed the image of the man who killed my friend, potentially minutes before that happened. And your message was, this is what happens. You need to take responsibility and accountability for what you are saying and doing out there in the social media world. And I wanted him to hear that from me directly and not to for me to tweet out at him. I think that is important, that he understands, again, the consequence of what the impact that his words have on people who are going through so much pain and trauma. This is not a joke. And he needs to understand over 7 million people dialed into his message on social media. He has a powerful platform. He should not be using it to spread misinformation and to basically make a joke of the murder of people, of public servants.
What did he have to say when you confronted him with that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think this is a person who's used to being confronted. I don't think he's somebody who's used to being challenged, and I think he didn't quite know what to do. I approached him from a position of respect and wanting him to understand what I thought. And he didn't have that much to say. What he needs to do is he needs to apologize. I really think that he should take that post down. To indicate that somehow this was some sort of a Marxist leftist attack that causes violence is completely false. He's spreading that misinformation and he should correct that. I didn't get any of that from him earlier this evening, but I hope that what I said sunk in, and that he, as my mother used to say, words have consequences, and his words have a ton of consequence, and he should own that.
It's pretty striking to hear that you went up and you said, "I know these people, your community has been so affected by this," and he didn't even apologize to you in that interaction?
He said, how many times have we heard the words that go something like, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, or I'm sorry if you didn't understand what that's not, in my mind, taking accountability or responsibility for your actions. And so I can't paraphrase exactly what he said, but that was the gist of it.
To say the least, not used to being challenged or confronted, as evidenced by the retreat, the full speed running away from questions from the press. And the reason he's running away is because his actions are indefensible. I would hope that his bishop in his ward, I grew up in Mormon country, know all about it, got lots of family members who are Mormons too. I would love for his bishop to get with him and say, hey, listen, Brother Lee, Elder Lee, whatever, you got the priesthood. More Mormon talk. This is untoward. This is not a shining example of the love of Christ, the beacon of his love that we want to show to the world. You're being a terrible fucking example of what a Mormon is. Or are you just being what a Mormon is? Mormons vote overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, which means they vote for cruelty. They vote for bigotry. They vote for white supremacy, which is doctrinally exactly where they stand. Search Mormons and white and delightsome. Just Google that and then get back to me about how the Mormon Church is not a white supremacy organization. Anyway, Mike Lee is a disgrace. Mike Lee should resign. This is disgusting behavior from a United States senator, but it is all too common now under the moniker, under the banner that flies from their dictator on day one, Donald Trump. Without a doubt. Anyway, what do you think? Look, I'd love to know if you're one of the scant number of liberal, actually patriotic Mormons out there and you're feeling offended, you can come at me. I'm okay with that. I welcome the dissent, but nothing I have said is untrue. Comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Help support this work, help produce these videos. You can become a channel member. Click the join button below, wherever that is. And for $2 a month, you can help produce these videos. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. All these are linked below. And you can help support this work, help grow this channel. Follow me on social media, blah, blah, blah. @Dollemore, @Dollemore, @Dollemore. Come on the show, Mike Lee. I mean, I know you're not going to. You're not used to being confronted or challenged. You know, libertarian Mike Lee. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Be better than this. Take care of one another.